What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Every Week We Follow. It's a bit of a sad, downtrodden match review here, but we're going to try our best to be objective because we've been told that we need to be more objective and less biased. Fuck off! Are you taking a piss? It's a fucking bloody Villa podcast. Like, look, just to clarify this. So someone put on our last thing saying, I'm going to say it. These guys are deluded, blah, blah, blah. Everyone biased, all this crap. Right. We're a Villa fan channel. We're not an official body or any kind of like journalist or professionals in this. We're literally just two fans airing our views. And yes, we're probably going to be a little bit biased towards Villa, but that's perfectly normal. So I like to think we're actually pretty realistic.
Yeah, well, mate, do you know what? On that fucking stupid note, that stupid comment, I'm going to say this, right? I'll start with the price for Palace. I thought they were outstanding yesterday. Right. Adam Wharton was superb. Eze was superb. Mateta was superb. Sarr was superb. They've been 4 times against us. They've outplayed us, mate. Glasner's got Emery's game plan sorted out. We didn't turn up, don't be wrong. We were lacklustre all over the pitch, but they were on it. They needed to be on it, and they wanted it more. And fair play to them. I wish them all the luck in the final. You know, I wouldn't be offended if they won it. But we are a Villa fan channel, so that's enough about Crystal Palace. Yeah. Let's start the breakdown of us.
But unless you want to, last thing I want to say about Palace is that I feel like Mateta was ready for war. He was wearing headgear and everything. He was padded up to the hilt and ready for it. I mean, he did miss a pen, but yeah. First things first. When you see that lineup, the one thing I think we said, one of the things that we said, we were like, has to be Mings and Konsa. Has to be Mings and Konsa at the back because Mateta is a beast. Sarr, you got all these players, and we're going to need people who are willing to put their body on the line and throw themselves in front of stuff. I don't 100%. Think we needed a ball-playing centre-back for this game.
No, I agree, mate. For those of you that saw me on the live yesterday on TikTok, I said exactly that. As soon as the lineups come out, I was like, this is a mistake. And it's on Emery because it's knowing your opposition and knowing what, you know, and again, we're not professionals, but if you think about the games that we've played against Crystal Palace this season, Torres got absolutely bossed by Mateta.
Yeah, I don't know why he keeps playing in these games. I don't know why he keeps playing in these games. Especially when you're up against either big attackers or a pacey attack. Do not play Torres. I just don't understand it.
It just feels like he has to play him because he's his man. It's his main signing, and that's how it feels. I'm sure it's not that, but you can't tell me, looking at that decision, that it hasn't cost us because the first goal is totally Torres' fault.
Yeah,
right?
It's really bad.
I know there's a bit of interaction after that, but if he doesn't give the ball away so cheaply there, right, he panics and just blasts it against Sarr, and you know they end up scoring. Yes, maybe Emi could do better. Maybe
I was about to say Emi, right? So we were talking about Emi in the last review in the Man City. Was it Man City or Newcastle one? I think it was a Man City one. And he has it's been a bit like suspect at times this season. He has saved us in some instances, and he's still a fantastic goalie.
Yeah.
I think their first 2 yesterday can do better. I think that first one, the Eze one, it's hit early, it's hit hard, but you can see it the whole way. You can see it the whole way. It's not really.
It's in the middle of the goal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not really moving. I think he was just caught on his heels a little. And then the second one, it's travelled a long way. Again, it's not gone through bodies. And I'm like, I feel like he should have been able to get that. So that was it. I actually thought that was a bit frustrating from them too. But you're right. Like Torres, what is he doing for that first goal? But at the same time, there is a lot that happens. And there's things like, you know, Kamara was off balance, and so he couldn't really reach for it, so it just kind of slid past him. Cash is like trying to run across the goal. It's kind of desperate. Bottlers. That's what we've said before. Totally right, Scott. Look, we were saying this coming up to these games in this season, these last 6-7 games of the season. We bottle it. We seem to bottle it at the minute.
I went to Wembley. I went all the way to Wembley, and all I got was this stupid fucking bucket hat. That's it.
I quite like the bucket, to be fair.
Yeah, it's nice, mate. But right, I wanted a place in the final. Yeah, it's
look at that comment. Ooh, typical Gerrard type performance. Ooh.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, bottle jobs, mate. I don't know how we. Okay, no, I do. So this is my, unprofessional view on it. Torres was the
Tempo?
first one. Huh?
Tempo?
Tempo, yeah. But we played with the wrong team, mate. I really felt like that Rodgers should have been rested. I'd have started with
Yeah.
Marlon. Right, I know that would have. But I mean, even Bailey when he came on yesterday,
Look good.
looked good. It took us 70 minutes to attack their fullbacks. But we didn't do that nowhere near enough. And the reason why we didn't do it is because going back a couple of games before the Newcastle PSG games, as we've done, so I get it. Emery wants to play with possession type football. Fine, right, not a problem. But what I don't understand is you've got our centre backs carrying the ball 10, 15 yards towards the halfway line, right? And then looking to pass it between the lines. At which point yesterday, and against teams that do that low block, you're just trying to get through 9 players almost, right? And then
Palace knew. The thing is, Palace knew we were going to do that, and we didn't plan for the fact that they knew we were probably going to do that. We just kind of went, okay, we're going to do that. They're going to play a low block, and they've got pace coming out of their ass.
Yeah.
And we just didn't have an answer for it.
And that's frustrating that we didn't have an answer, that we didn't adapt and go, okay, right, if we're playing out from the back,
we had some chances. Like there was definitely chances, and we were like really trying to. But it took till like the 70th minute to really start peppering their goal and knocking on the door. But it was just.
But even then, mate, in the final third again, we were wasteful. Like we weren't on it. Like in terms of we had a little we had the possession of the game, 70%, I think we had in total, like something like that. But we didn't. None of it was productive. It was just wasteful, and we kind of again, a lot of it was played at the back. We didn't move the ball quickly enough to get in between the lines for the players to damage, and all it allowed Palace just to swamp us in the middle of the park. And every time we did get a little bit of joy, Maatsen when he came on got down the left hand side and cut back. They just were there to defend it, mate. It was easy. Like, apart from the McGinn effort in the second half, the volley.
Yeah,
I don't remember a shot on target after bar that.
There was Luca Dean's hit. That was a good save.
That was a good save. Yeah.
And then there was Bailey's, I think, from a corner, which was clean off the line.
Well, it hit Torres on the floor. Torres jumped up for the header, fell on the floor, and he hit Torres and went over the bar. Like, so Torres is a great defending his own their net, so he couldn't do it for us, but he fucking did it for them. Like,
I
thought I'd calm down, mate. I thought I'd calm down, but I haven't. Talking about making it worse.
It is frustrating. I think I don't think the scoreline flattered them. I think maybe 3-1 was probably more realistic. I do think we probably did.
Oh, I don't know, mate, because Sarr had a header that he missed from 5 yards. That he
they missed the pen.
Missed the penalty. That there were some other dangerous moments for them. It could have been 4 or 5. Let's be honest, mate. I'm not taking anything away from Palace because I thought they were brilliant yesterday. And if we could, Palace fans, I'm sorry, but if I could get Adam Wharton and Mateta off you and Eze, I'd take all 3 of them in the Villa squad, mate. They're dangerous players.
If I was thinking about it the other day, and I think because we were talking about who else do you have instead of Watkins, and I was like, I'll take Mateta all day.
100%. Mate, the
difference, if we didn't want to, if Rashford doesn't want to stay, I'll take Eze.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, like, take them 2. Jesus, like, our team actually insane. And also, I mean, Palace are on a good thing at the moment, but they aren't, unless they go and win this, unless they go and win the FA Cup, they aren't in Europe.
Yeah.
So, they probably will.
We've got to try and dust ourselves down and go again, haven't we? We've got 4 massive Premier League games now. I'm worried.
Torres isn't a great defender. I can't think of a game where he's bullied the opposition attackers. No, I agree.
I agree. Mate, it should have been Mings all day long.
Yeah,
should have been Mings all day long. I don't know why it wasn't. So I would, dusting ourselves off and going again. Like it's a massive task. I worry now that game yesterday will have psychologically fucked us up.
I think it was already. I think the damage was done at City against City. Yeah. I really feel like that just did us. I think that you underestimate the amount of emotional, how heavy emotionally that is on the players, and then that that game yesterday just summed it up. I was just like, I think we're done. And I can't see us, to have any chance of fifth, we have to win all 4 games and hope someone else slips up. I can't see us winning all 4.
No. It's a massive ask, mate. Maybe we could potentially win 3. It all depends on Bournemouth's result today.
This is the guy. Come on.
What?
Yeah. So, I mean, the start of this, mate, we just wanted to say, like, we are not a
Come on.
He's come on. We're not a professional entity. We're not journalists. We are 2 fans. It's not blind positivity. It's positivity because we feel like we need to. We are fans.
Because we're fans, yeah.
And I think that it was, and I don't think it was blind. I think that we should have won that game. Before that game, we should have won that game. There's no freaking way that we should have got beat 3-0. The performance was awful, like a really bad game. We didn't get up for it at all.
And Palace was superb, mate. I mean, this guy just wants us to bite, and we're doing it, aren't we? Let's be honest.
I'm going to bite. It's best to be objective. No, that's fine. I actually think we bloody are. I'm just like, I think we generally are pretty realistic and pretty honest. Like, but at the end of the day, and I think any objective fan, Palace against Villa, everyone thought Villa was going to win that game. Yeah. Every pundit was saying Villa. Everyone was kind of preparing for a Villa.
Oh, we were definitely favourites. 100%. Yeah. But we didn't turn up, and fair play to Palace. And as we said at the start, Mike, because he's probably missed the start, it feels like our season's derailed, and I think it started with that City game, losing it the way we did. Emery got the formations wrong. He got the players wrong. He needs to be held accountable. But we've got to be positive, because otherwise, what's the point in being a fan? Like, we've got to believe that we can do it. Like, it's a massive ask now to win those last 4 games and expect results to go for us. Could it happen? It could happen. But it's unlikely,
possible, right? And like we say, as fans, we're always got to try and believe that we can, and we know we can because we've shown it at times this season. We showed it freaking 2 games ago or 3 games ago against Newcastle. We played them off the park. We absolutely battered them. And then City was a frustrating game, but you are against City as well, and they can just turn it on. And it was just sucker punch. That last minute goal, I think it's just done the team in. I think it's really done them.
What was he saying? Okay, what's actually not even trolling, to be fair. Mate, sorry, we're not saying you're trolling. We're just saying your opinion's wrong. Like, if you've watched any of our shows from the start, like, you were hypercritical of us without really, I feel, ever watched the show, because I think we try and give as balanced as we can. But of course, we're Villa fans, so this is a Villa fan channel. I don't know what you're expecting. If you want the fucking objective, go and watch the biased Sky Sports talk about the fucking top 6. I don't understand. Like, what's he talking about?
Yeah. But it is. I think the City one. I think, to be fair, it was around their charges and stuff that come up. But again, that's pretty objective. I think that everyone knows that they've massively overspent. They've pushed the lines too far. We'd like to, but we can't.
Yeah.
So we're not doing it. We're staying within the rules wherever possible. But yeah. Anyway, but I think the rest of our season is, I don't know, mate. I said this before. Quarterfinal of Champions League, semi-final of the FA Cup. We get 6th, and we get Europa League. Is that a terrible season?
I think it's not, mate. And I think the expectation, this isn't a biased thing, Sharik. Look, that it is. The expectation has been above and beyond, because we've got into the Champions League. So the expectation was we would qualify again.
Yeah, we've continually said that we did that season. So it's almost like the seasons were reversed. We did it too early. That should have been this season. This season should have been last season. Europa League, and obviously what the Champions League has done for us is given us incredible moments this season. We did unbelievably well in it. It allowed us to get some of the players that we've now got. And now, actually, our squad, and even if, Asensio and Rashford go back or whatever, and perhaps a player leaves here and we bring a couple more in, our squad is more than capable enough next season of competing in a Europa League run and the Premier League. I think they're more than capable. Like, we should, and I think I said to you yesterday, I was like, let's go and win the Europa League next season to get back in the Champions League, win something, do something good. And that's arguably what we should have been able to do this season. But the Champions League it's not killed us. I've actually been surprised at how we've done all right, like with what we had. But what was it? 2 wins after 9 Champions League games? Like it's what does you?
We've got a long way to go to step up to the level. Now this season we've had injuries, and it's meant we've not been consistent enough. But even if we take it back a step, mate, like to qualify for Europa League and the European competition again, 3rd season in a row from where we were 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's mental.
Is progress, isn't it? Right? Yes, of course. If you want to, I'd love to be in the Champions League every year. That's what we're trying to work towards.
Yeah, and financially, it helps us. So like we know that it's. It's basically what I'm about to say. We know that it's a season where, or this summer is going to be a case of if we don't manage to get the Champions League, which is going to be a massive ask now, we are going to have to sell some players, and we are going to have to move them on, and we're going to have to rotate around, and we're going to have to do some creativity with signings in the summer. And I still believe, I believe that regardless, Watkins is probably going to go in the summer because of his age, because of his current sell-on value. He's currently at the point where we can probably get a decent amount of money for him still. So I still feel that he'll go. Bailey will go. Some of our kind of loanees will go that we've loaned out, and some of our fringe players. And like I said, I actually think potentially there will be a big sale for someone like Ramsey or someone like that because they are pure profit. And it'll allow us to invest it in other areas. Now, again, but you go back even before this season, the windows before, we've signed really good players and we weren't even in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I don't think we have to have it, but from a financial point of view, not have to sell some players, that's the difference. But yeah, it is right. We're out of the FA Cup. It's a season of fate. I don't know. I think it's always this thing where your expectations change throughout the season. It's the same with Forest, right? If Forest don't get Champions League or at least Europa League, their season will probably be looked at as disappointing. I just don't think it's a failure. I think it's disappointing from where we were.
It's how you choose to look at it, isn't it? Like, and I've been in that boat where you go, we've not won everything, we're out of everything, it's a failure. Like, sack Emery, get rid of all the players, whatever. But that's not objective. If you're just expecting success all the time, that's not the way football works. It's not a straight line. You have to kind of sometimes do this, right? And we are ultimately, progression-wise, ahead of where we probably should be. Now, if we can guide this moment properly, like from where we were to where we are is huge. And actually, yes, it's derailed in the last couple of weeks, and it looks like it could be a 6th place finish. But I've enjoyed this as a fan. I've enjoyed the season, and that's what I've always wanted. I've always dreamt about seeing Champions League football. It's not a given. You don't just walk into the Champions League. It's something that needs investment, and you've got to, now with the PSR rules, you can't cheat like Man City have, you can't cheat like Chelsea have. Like everything's under the spotlight. So until they change that, we're trying to do stuff within that parameter of developing players, which is something Emery's done. Now there's talk about this young Norwegian kid coming in. We've got young players like Garcia that are up and coming. Like, it's not objective to say that in a couple of years' time we could be competing. But we're close. Yeah. We are close. And so if you just deem it as a failure because we haven't hit the Champions League and we haven't won the FA Cup, it's a failure, we should be winning stuff. That's what we're trying to do. Emery's trying to build something. He's got it wrong like in the last couple of games, and it's cost us. That is football. You make decisions, you go with your gut. He hasn't done it on purpose. But if we can keep on building, keep getting these players to perform and raise standards, right, there's no reason why we can't compete in that top level and get back into the Champions League by winning the Europa League, i.e. next year. Emery's the most experienced manager in the world at doing that. So, it's not a case of we just got the divine right to compete in that top 4. Like, there's other teams that are doing it well.
And it's also like, it's not, you can have really good players, but if they're not gelling quite as a team at the right moments, I think we spoke about this season, and we spoke about timing, and we spoke about last season. And so, like last season, we were lucky. We were lucky, and we know we were
We
lucky
were.
because Spurs fell off and didn't take advantage of the same time that we were falling off this
Oh my God.
season. Yeah, no,
Mate,
yeah,
read
I
that
know.
comment.
Just don't bite.
He
But
says he's not a troll, but I'm about to jump out of his TV screen and slap him.
Look, the thing is, it's you can have a really good team of really good players, and you're just not. And if you don't do it at the right time, if you don't do it at the right parts of the season, it doesn't work. And like we thought we were hitting it. We thought we timed this right, and we were hitting a run. We had, what was it, six wins or 5 wins in the Premier League on the trot. We were like, we're on the up here. We're going to be that team that comes through. And then unfortunately, we've then just had another dip in form. And I think it's just not, for whatever reason, it's just not clicking. But I will say that this has happened every season. Did it happen in Emery's first season? This has happened every season with Emery, where the last push
We've just
has stuttered,
filtered
and
out.
we just kind of fell away a bit. And I don't know whether that's just because we know about how much he is intense with the players, and he asks, demands, and he's talked actually every conference recently. He said we're increasing the levels, and we're demanding more of the players. I'm like, bloody hell! So he's really, if they are doing that, maybe it's just gone too far, and the players actually need a bit of a rest. But there is this thing where, and I've heard it a few times as well, and it's maybe one of the good things or bad things with Emery. You know, he doesn't like the players. He's not like a person who's going to go out and have a beer with them. He's not going to be hand holding them, whatever. He's challenges them. He's like, no, you need to be better. And he's not the kind of manager that is going to be pally with you and kind of try and nurture you. He nurtures you by challenging you and being like, if you're not good enough, then off you go. And I think, and it's quite cutthroat. And I do expect.
But don't you find that interesting? Because is that just with certain players though, and does that cause unrest in the dressing room? Because if you look at, I agree with that to a certain guy. You challenge the players to hit the standards.
He's done it with Rodgers. He does it with McGinn all the time. He's always like, he needs to be better.
Yeah, but mate, he's dropped McGinn. He hasn't dropped Rodgers. Rodgers, as good as he's been this season, has had stink of games. And
just on that as well, obviously, Shoaib saying we discussed the weird interaction between Rodgers and Watkins before the second half. I didn't see anything. I
was at the game, mate. I was up in the God, so I didn't see any weird interaction. So you'll have to elaborate on that. But the next comment, mate, is a good one, because I wanted to talk about this, and it brings us on nicely in the fact that Palace clearly organised their fans better than we organised ours, and it shows a little bit that the Villa are commercially still miles off. You know, because Palace clearly got all their ultra fans, they're ones that make the noise, which aren't many. I went to Selhurst Park early in the season for the away game, and it was quiet as a dormouse. You could barely hear the ultras. But
even though they won 4-1.
Yeah, even though they battered us 4-1. But then yesterday, they organised them. They were all behind the goal. They had somehow smuggled flares in, drums, you name it. And from minute one, fair play. Now, for us, we didn't do that. So we've got obviously a contingent of fans that sit in the whole end that get everyone going with a song and get the atmosphere going. And clearly what happened yesterday was they're all obviously just dispersed throughout Wembley. And so you have pockets of fans, and that doesn't generate atmosphere. So I've got to say, it did sound like, even what my wife said to me, she watched it on the TV, said it sounded flat from the Villa end. And it didn't help the way that the game went, but that didn't help either. We didn't organise ourselves well enough to get that atmosphere going. We should have done exactly the same behind the goal, and the safe standard should have been, those tickets should have been offered to whole end of season ticket holders.
I was about to say, do you think it was
to get everybody going?
Because you had issues with tickets and stuff, didn't you? And there was
There
was also some prime seats that came up at the end, later on, that non-hardcore fans could get.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it's not the reason, but it's another thing where it's like, come on, just get your act together. Like, this is a massive, massive deal. And we fluffed it. I mean, mate, we played the bloody Europa League music when we were coming out of the Champions League at our last game at home. Like, if you want a way of laughing at the way we do stuff off the pitch, that's one of them, you know.
Yeah.
So hang on. So this is interesting. So they're talking here, the same. apparently Rodgers ignored Watkins' handshake. Ollie turns around, calls Morgan twice, and says, "Come on." Morgan dismisses him, pulling a face as if to say, "Fuck off." The videos obviously showed it much better. Seemed odd beef.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely stuff going on probably behind the scenes, and there is some weird, like, and I've said a million times, and I said I love Ollie, and there's definitely like a thing where he's trying, and whether by the way, and that whether it was Rodgers or whether it was Watkins who was the instigator, I don't know, but Watkins he's brought this like kind of confidence. He's trying to have this self-confidence in himself. He's had it for the last 2 or 3 seasons since Emery come in. And I don't know, maybe it's like not rubbing off a bit. And some of the players are like, well, you're not really performing, mate. And he's trying to back himself, and he's been a little bit cocky, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think it's really between the lines, isn't it? And actually, if that is like, if you, for those of you who watch the overlap with, Neville and Carragher and them saying that we offered Ollie to Arsenal, and that wasn't the case in the time. He came out the blue, remember, in January that, fucking hell, but if that is the case, and then you bring Rashford in, and then you start losing your place, and then Ollie's coming out saying, I'm fuming that I'm not getting minutes, but not producing the goods. Like, it's one thing holding a manager accountable for not playing you, but you've got to perform. And I've said this all season, that Watkins, as good as he's been and will always be a great servant of the Villa, hasn't been the player he was last season, hasn't hit the numbers, missed 28, 29 big chances. So for someone like Morgan Rodgers, who's been arguably our best player putting up numbers of goals and assists this year, right, he's probably going, fuck off, Ollie, you're 30 years old, you're on your way out, mate, cheerio. Right?
Yeah, or he's just like, or he's just like, come on, like, I'm doing my best here, I'm working really hard. You're like, you need to do your job, concentrate on what you who knows. But
I read something or saw something on the way home last night that said it's Rashford, and that that this is what he does in terms of, he what he's done at United, and he's put in decent performances, and then he has to go off the rails, and he's coming and potentially put unrest in the squad, and that's I'm not saying that's the necessary, but it's heightened what was already probably there, I don't know. Like, it's all, mate. Again, that's just what I've read online and stuff. It might absolutely be bullshit, but
Carl here saying, ever wondered why Unai's success comes with small clubs rather than big ones? Small clubs won't criticise that much. He has had a tactical stinker last game. Hope Monchi's both come out. I mean, it's part of it. I don't think that's the reason. I think at smaller clubs he's more successful because they give him more power and they allow him to control more. I actually think that's the reason. Like, it was a similar thing with say Nuno at Forest, right? Like, he was brilliant at Wolves, went to Spurs, wasn't given the control they wanted to do, and it didn't go well. I actually think that's the main reason he does really well at smaller clubs. I also think maybe the pressure's a little bit more off usually. That helps as well. And obviously this season the pressure's been very much on from game one. But yeah, we don't know. It's the Rashford stuff and all the kind of conspiracy theory. I never try to jump on those. Like, I'm always kind of like, I'll take that with a pinch of salt.
I guess the question is then, mate, now we're out of the FA Cup and the Champions League, and we're just fighting for a European spot, whatever that may be. Right?
To win these 4 games, we have to, like, we basically, for us to have any pride this season, we have to at least win 3 of them.
Yeah. So, but what I meant was, what we're talking about Watkins and Rashford and stuff. What next year? Like, what do we do? Like, who do we offload? Who do we look to get? Because I was talking about this with my nephew on the way back from the game, and I think for me, Watkins probably goes, Bailey probably goes, Cash potentially. I'd like to see Garcia coming in. I think he's better. Got better potential.
The right back position's always been this kind of weird position that we're trying. Sorry, I don't want to tangent slightly, but it does kind of link into that a little. Since January, we basically changed the way we played based on who we've signed. So obviously, like I said, we brought in Rashford, and now the side that we attack on has switched. So the whole team has had to try and adapt to that and change that. And now having a right back like Cash and stuff isn't necessarily what we would need there. And the same with Maatsen. Like, you don't really want that high flying left back if you've got a high flying left winger up front. And
you
then
gotta have the
again, that's
balance.
why I also think is why he's playing Rashford as a number 9, because he's like, one, wants to challenge Ollie. I think I don't think Emery's happy with this thing where Ollie seems to buckle when he has some kind of competition. I think he wants him to have that competition and to try and rise to it. And at the same time, he wants to play Maatsen. And to play Maatsen, you have to have a left winger that's not going to be flying up the pitch. And so that's
the
that's what
I agree with that as well, mate. Like, you've changed the way we play, but he's right with the Rashford and Asensio thing there about Rodgers built around number 10. That's his favourite position. Yesterday, that was classic, mate. I don't think Rodgers and Asensio worked that well together with playing Asensio in the middle and him out on the right. I think that was another mistake. So
no, yeah, he's continued to do that, and he's playing Rodgers out on the right, and he's really ineffective. Like, it doesn't, like, if you're going to play him on a wing, play him on the left. Don't play him on the right. Definitely play him as a number 10. Who knows? I mean, it'll be interesting to see if the Asensio deal comes off now, because he's massively gone off the boil. So he isn't starting him all the time, and I'm not sure, 100% whether it will happen. Maybe it'll be actually not a blessing in disguise, because Asensio has been brilliant since he's come to, and him and Rashford actually been a bit of a relation. They kind of kicked on that season. They've given us some hope or something to fight for. But if those two don't come off, maybe it's actually like it's helped us identify what we need and where our players need to play and where they play best. And it's helped increase the levels, and everyone's like kind of leveled up a bit, and everyone's like tried to improve a bit more. I mean, this stuff about De Bruyne, I think, fuck no.
Mate, I think that's just total media sensationalism. I can't see.
They've even blown it up. They've very carefully worded it, saying internal discussions, which basically means someone said internally at Villa, so is it worth us looking at KDB? And then someone's gone, no.
Yeah, the kit man heard it, mate, and sent it straight to Sky Sports. I heard in the dressing room.
Yeah, exactly. Just sent it by text. Oh, just seen it. No, it's not happening. But I think, it'd be interesting to see what happens with that striker position, because, like I said, as much as I love Ollie, and to be honest, I'd be happy to keep Ollie and he'd be like our second striker, but I don't think he'll be happy to do that. Especially with some of the comments he's coming out with more recently and stuff. So
no player should. He's only 30, mate. He obviously he can go somewhere else, and that's fine.
He's
with
really
me.
durable as well. He doesn't get injured.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, and the grass isn't always greener, mate. But I just think I think he's hit the ceiling at Villa, and I think he wants to move on. I think the club are looking to get someone probably younger and a bit more fresh. I'd
like him to get one more goal though.
Yeah,
I can't. We can't keep Gabby as
our
leading goal scorer. I mean, obviously,
just one more before the end of the season, mate.
Yeah, allow him to leave and us to be thankful for everything he did.
But even that's going to be a big ask for Watkins, mate, because he's like, again, he's been so ineffective in the games that he has played recently when he's come on, and I know his head's kind of a bit frazzled from being dropped, but like, against Newcastle, he was superb, and he didn't do that level of running yesterday. There was a couple of times where he tried to run in behind, and we tried, tried to get him. But other than that, on the ball again, just poor. Like, hold up play was poor. Just give the ball away sloppily. Got knocked off. Got bullied off the ball. And I'm looking at Mateta going, if I could switch one player on the pitch, it would be Mateta for Watkins. You had someone like that, like, and an Asensio and Rodgers working off someone like Mateta. Do you know what I mean?
I'll take Eze as well.
Yeah.
But no, 100% right. And I think I do, I think this has been probably the most pressure Watkins has been under in the Emery kind of like era. He had a bit of a barren run at one point, but then he went on an absolute brilliant run. Whereas at the moment, it doesn't feel like it's ever going to happen for him, and it does feel a little bit like, not that he's not interested, but that he's annoyed that he hasn't been playing, and that I think I think it might be the time where it's okay. It makes sense for Villa commercially, and it probably makes sense for him if he wants to have one more push and to stay in that England squad and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, next year is a big year, isn't it? Because it's a World Cup year, mate. So players are going to be thinking about that. He's going to be thinking about that, and we want it. I mean, ultimately, we want it. Whatever happens, we want it to benefit us and get the best out of our players. So whether he stays or goes, like it's got to be on the basis that they're willing to play a part, regardless of how that looks. Whether it's you're the main man or whether you're coming off the bench and doing it. Because, like I think Roy Keane said on the overlap, like he said, look, we had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer who would start games, score 2 goals, and then be dropped for 3. But his mentality didn't change. It's like he'd stand there watching the game and seeing where he could change the game. And there was the thing about Watkins when he got substituted on against Man City, where McGinn was up and ready to go, and thinking, I need to get on because he was gutted about being dropped. And Watkins is tying up his shoelace and just not really listening to the instructions being given to him by McPhee and you just go, mate, I love you, but you're not in the game. Your head's not in the game. Like you're looking at where you can affect Man City. And when he came on against Man City, terrible. And he gets a start, and a chance to prove himself yesterday and be the main man. And Mateta put him to shame, mate. He showed you how a centre forward should play.
Yeah,
he
was. I mean, obviously. I unfortunately actually didn't get to watch it. I only watched like the highlights today and stuff. I was at a dinner, but I was like listening to I was looking at the commentary, and they were just saying Mateta was like a man possessed. He was ending. He was doing everything. He was like a warrior. He was just, and he's a beast, and he's punished us multiple times last year. And this is what I just can't get about it. And this is what we were saying before. I'm going to rip my beard off.
That's why I'm wearing my bucket hat, Matt. Got no hair left.
When we talk about Emery being such a tactician and he's so good and he'll have a plan and he'll have all these things, but he just doesn't seem to be able to react. The last time we played these guys, or the last 4 times we played these guys, and we're just not adapting. We didn't, and also he didn't usually after a game, if it wasn't his plan, he would come out and he would call it out. I don't know if you saw his post match straight after the game, and he basically said, we wanted to try and develop this season. We need to try and improve and keep getting better. We're up in the levels. We're trying to get consistency, and he's saying the aim is consistent Europe. And he was very, very careful with his words there. And I think, to be fair, the whole of this season he said the same, just consistently getting Europe, not Champions League, Europe. So the aim, I think the aim is minimum 6th. The 6th is the aim, isn't it now? And I think it's a realistic aim. I do believe we will get 6th unless we absolutely fall off a wagon now with these last 4 games. We've got 4 games. Just got to concentrate on those 4 games. Unfortunately, we have got a couple of banana skins that we're usually a bit crap against with Spurs and Man U, but they are terrible right now. So we just got to hope that these last 4 games we can get up for it, because the players look just crestfallen.
Well, mate,
if I'm honest, I'd make those 8 changes. The 8 changes that he does. I'd just make those changes and bring Marlon in, bring Matson in, bring Mings back in. Bring these players that they've performed when we've needed that they seem to have performed.
Mate, the only way we're going to get any kind of results in those last 4, we've just got to go out and try and beat them. Forget this conservative, keep the ball at the back and possession based. Right, play your most attacking players, right, and go at them. And go at these teams, because all these teams as well are coming to the business end and are tired and are fighting for stuff. Like Bournemouth and Fulham can still get into the European places. So if Bournemouth beat Man United today, they'll be well up for that game against us, like in a couple of weeks. And we've just got to. I think we have good strength in depth in our squad now, but I just feel like the last couple of weeks in those 2 games, City and Palace, we've got it horribly wrong. Where you should have kept with the Newcastle formation. And don't get me wrong, it changes with the teams that you play, but we're certainly against City and Palace. They're not necessarily going to sit in that low block unless you allow them to. Like Palace, if we'd have gone at Palace from the start yesterday, they'd have had to do more to win that game, and we just didn't allow it because we wanted to control the pace of the game and slow it down, and all we did was play right into their hands. We did against City as well.
You just love to be a fly on the wall in the dressing room, because we're like sitting there going, is it what Emery wants them to do? Are they not doing it?
The players not doing it? Yeah.
We just don't know, and this is why it's really hard to work out whether it's the players.
But ultimately, Emery picks the team, and that's what I'm saying. I think with the changes that he's made, I think he's fucking with the chemistry a little bit, like that game against Newcastle.
Well, again, so like I said before, I mean, we'll go back onto Torres and Mings in a sec, but we're gonna have to wrap this up soon. But like we went on a really good run when we actually had a fair few injuries and we had to play a consistent team. We pretty much had to play almost the same 11. Happened last season. We didn't have much, and I think the only reason we fell off last season was because we were just exhausted physically.
Yeah.
But we went on this massive run and we played really well because we were just playing pretty much consistent 11, other than like one or two players. Whereas this season, it's like we have these two completely different 11s, or we have completely different units within the team, and it's worked sometimes. Like it works against Forest, where we made those 8 changes and then we completely changed the team and they played brilliantly. But it doesn't seem to work more often than not. And, for instance, yesterday we were like certain this guy was going to start. Like, I was like, this guy has to start based on what Palace have. And this is a crazy stat. This is AVFC Stato comes out with some fantastic stats. This is like, we've won our last 8 games that Tyrone Mings has started, unbeaten in the last 11, and only lost 1 in the last 18. And he's been benched the last 2 games.
So
and we've been fragile.
Like, this is what I don't understand with Emery's decision to bench him yesterday. Like, knowing that stat, and he would know that stat, wouldn't he? Let's be honest, right?
Potentially, but he knows that defensively he is solid. And since he's come back in, since Torres got injured and he had a proper run in the team, at the start, it was a little bit edgy. And we were like, oh, bloody hell, it hasn't actually improved us at all. But then we had like 5 out of 6 clean sheets. And he's a leader. He's a leader on the pitch, like vocally as well. So if we are under the cosh and we're 1-0 down at Wembley, he would be getting the game by the scruff of the neck and he would getting everyone to get moving. That's what Mings would do.
Pau Torres, number 2, behind McGinn.
Yeah, Pau Torres does this.
Oh.
He had 1 error that led to the goal. He had 1 accurate long ball out of 5, 6 clearances. He's got 6 out of 10. Look at his position, average position for the game. No interceptions, no tackles. Didn't even foul anyone.
I know.
Like,
it's supposed to be defense. Like, mate, again, I don't understand it. Like, if you're going to play him as a ball-playing centre-back, like, and then just, like you say, watch them get into a low block and carry the ball 15 yards just to give it them back. Like, you're not playing those, but like, Torres is better when teams are pressing high so he can play through the lines, because clearly he doesn't. But if I'm Mings, I'm a little bit upset. But he's a model professional. Mings, he ain't going to come out like Ollie and say I'm fuming. But that speaks for itself, mate. And like it doesn't make sense to me. And what's worrying is that in the last 2 games of City and Palace, that Emery's got that information and doesn't use it to warrant his selection. Do you know what I mean? To go, actually, with what we're facing, Mings needs to start here, because we against City, the chances are you're going to at some point have your backs against the wall, because they, as poor as they've been this year, have got good ball players. And the second goal speaks volumes for me. I know it was more or less the Sassi's fault, but Torres watches the ball go past him, doesn't even make an effort to try and cut it out.
I think I slightly
crucial moments, mate.
I think I slightly understood it against City, because I think when we were talking in the preview for that, I was saying that they will press and we will look to try and break their press, and we'll look to try and do those little balls and quick movement through the midfield from the back. So we want people who would be confident on the ball at the back. So I maybe understood it a little bit more. But against Mateta and Eze and Sarr, you do not play Torres. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, because they were never going to press us. It was always going to be, like you said, we went to the halfway line. They let us come and they just broke on us every time. And it's just like,
it's so simple to see. So I question Emery's decision about Torres, because even in the City game, like you mentioned there, that they have a better press. But in that case, mate, you still go with Mings for his defensive capabilities, and you bring into play Kamara or Tielemans to pick the ball up and then play those passes. You don't ultimately have someone who's not going to do it's great having a ball playing centre half, but they've got to be able to defend. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's pointless otherwise, because teams at this level just pinpoint you and pick you off, and that's exactly what's happened. And it's disappointing, because it's all ultimately, like I say, it feels like we've been derailed, and it could have been avoidable with better decisions for me.
It was just I think for me it's just embarrassing on like such a massive occasion and such a big day. And like I said, we were favourites, and we were kind of we were pretty I was going into that game relatively confident, Not confident in that. Like, I didn't underestimate Palace, but I just thought on our day we can beat these, and we should be up for this game. And unfortunately, every time we bloody played Palace recently, that's not been the case, and we've just got
4 games. They've scored 11 goals against us.
Yeah, that's wild. That's crazy.
Right? It's. I mean, it speaks for it is, but you've got to pay a lot of respect to Glasner because he's seen how we play and he's adapted.
But like I said, they were on a poor run. They were on a relatively poor run of form recently, and I was kind of like, okay, well, we should if we can assert our dominance and get a goal in the first half, this should be okay. But it just wasn't like that at all. It was really bad.
The difference is
the most disappointing thing about it. It's just and again, when we've had to do massive performances this season, with the PSG performance, we know we can do it. With the Newcastle performance, we know we can do it. Yeah. And just to have that, especially after that City game, I can't help but think that City game is massively just like deflated the team. That's it.
Yeah. I can only think look at the two teams, mate. We come off the back of that devastating last-minute defeat, and Crystal Palace have a brilliant result at Arsenal, coming back from 2 goals down and getting a decent draw, and they just started that game. They looked the more confident. We looked like we'd not played together. We were sloppy, and it just absolutely cost us. And I guess now I've had time to reflect on it. I'm just gutted, mate, because it is devastating. I feel like we've been derailed.
It's such an opportunity. Especially with the way this cup's gone, we know that we might not, you might not have City or whoever in the final. You'd be up against Forest or something like that, who are having a brilliant season, but they're beatable. And it's kind of like, it's really hard to go on these runs in the cups because you just don't know how your team's going to perform, or when you're up against some of the lower league opposition as well. And we've managed to get to this point. It's just frustrating. It's just really frustrating. And like we said, I think overall the season is not a failure. I still don't believe it's a failure. Even if we finish 7th, it's not a failure. We've hit the quarterfinals of Champions League, with the semi-finals of the FA Cup, and we pretty much should be in Europe in some capacity again next season. It's not a failure. It's disappointing based on where we've been.
Where we're at. Yeah. It's what could have been.
At the same time, 6 weeks ago, I think we were sitting here going, oh, well, are we even going to get Europe this season?
Yeah.
So actually, like, based on that, we've actually had an all right end to the season. It's just the very end where it's really mattered.
Well, I think it's 3 defeats out of 9, and it's something like that. So it's not the end of the world. It's not. We're not in the forefront of form. I think
we've lost. Is it we've lost? I'm sure you saw a stat the other day. Was it we've lost 4 games at home under Emery or something? That's fucking bonkers. Crazy.
Yeah.
We're definitely we're on the up. As a team, we are on the up. It's just.
I think, like you said, mate, the disappointing thing is that we've been close, and once again, and I think this is historical for a lot of Villa fans, why we're so critical, is that we've got a history of bottling it at key moments, and that is what's happened again. We've had great opportunity to win the FA Cup this year, bottled it. Great opportunity in the Champions League, bottled it really in that first leg. But again, decisions to play Disasi right back cost us. These are things that you have Emery has to take responsibility for.
Yeah, but this again highlights that, like, he obviously likes Cash, but I don't think he rates him at that level. And Garcia is still young, so you can't just throw him in all the time. So this again highlights that need for a real right back of quality.
Yeah, you say that, but if you're buying young players, like, there's plenty of teams that use young players. Like Liverpool have done it, Conor Bradley and stuff. And like, how are they going to get better, mate? How are they going to compete at the highest level if you don't play them?
Well, we can't play him week and week. Like, I know what you mean. He doesn't play enough, I would say.
Yeah,
we can't play
week
and week
when you're actively stating that you're rotating your squad for freshness and still playing certain players even though they look knackered, and you've got and that City game is a classic example.
Rodgers is the one that just doesn't make any sense. Like, I love the guy, and he's a brilliant player, and he's been fantastic for us. But like, he's played almost every minute of every game. He started pretty much every game, and he's just done. It's just done in. Like, just give him a break. He has to not play him against Fulham. Like, surely give him a break. Start
Mate, I
Marlon.
think
Put him on
he'll
the right.
play
He's a
every game
proper
from
right
now to the end
winger.
of the season unless he gets injured.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a possibility. But yeah, you're right. I think it's time to show him Marlon, because at least, even though he didn't do great when he came in possession of the ball, he still brings a certain energy to the team. He's actively trying to move the ball forward and kind of looking to get shots away. And he's a good addition. And I just think give him a shot in these last 4 games and bring Rodgers on as with 30 minutes to go to disrupt teams and stuff like that. Even if it's only like for one game, drop him again. Just give it a go. I don't know, mate, but we just want.
No. I'm looking at this comment. None of those
Yeah.
players deserve to wear the shirt. Freaking hell. It wasn't great. I don't think it's the worst performance I've seen from Villa this season, though.
No.
We've had some real bad ones. It's just a really important game, and we haven't turned up in. And you know what kills me? How often does this happen? They kicked us out of both cups. They kicked us out of the Carabao Cup, and they kicked us out of this cup. Like, I don't know how often that happens. Like, I think it's probably happened to us against Man U, because we always seem to play Man U in every bloody cup and every fixture going. But it's not often you play the same team both cups and they dump you out in both. Like, it doesn't happen very often. Right. Anyway, I'm losing the will to live talking about this. So
I guess on that wonderful stat, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, but thank you everyone for joining. It's been really good to do a live one. We're trying to do these. We're trying to play around with these because you don't get quite as many views and stuff. But it's really nice to have the interaction with you guys.
Yeah.
So hopefully it hasn't been too downbeat. Hopefully it's been objective enough.
And if it hasn't, it's okay. You don't have to watch us. There's plenty of other things you can watch.
Yeah, there's plenty of other ones if you want to, but also the engagement always helps. So any comment's a good comment.
Any comment's a good comment.
But anyway, thanks everyone. Go on.
I was just going to say thanks for everyone. If you've stayed this long, we didn't do it again at the start. Make sure you give us a like. And
it's done all right. We've maintained the number of people watching throughout the whole thing. I think so. I think most people stayed on, but we will be on. It's Fulham next Saturday. It is, isn't it?
Yeah, Saturday.
12:30. So we'll try and jump on that evening actually, because I should be back in on the right time. But hopefully we'll be singing about 3 points. Another 3 points at home. At Villa Park, we are an absolute fortress. I don't expect us to lose that game, but we will be doing a preview of that, which will probably go out Thursday morning, I reckon. So we'll do that next week. But as always, guys, up the Villa, and Gary, sing us out, mate.
Every week we follow the boys in claret and blue. I went to Wembley, and all I got is this bucket hat.
And almost had a poo. Anyway, there we go, guys.